What is up, Gaming Nation? This is JMO76, and we are playing College Football 26. This is a whole new series. It's all about simulation. We are going to be having multiple videos in this series looking at each of the major conferences, as well as looking at the College Football Playoff Championships. We're going to be looking at stats, talking about information, and ultimately showing highlights from the key games and the conference matches, as well as the conference playoffs. So that's all ahead. Today's big focus is going to be the SEC. And you can see there the college football playoff for this season. It does not look like a lot of people would expect it to at the start of the season, but that's what we're going to get into today. Really excited to look into this one. And as always, if you like the content, please consider liking and subscribing. Really would appreciate it. Helps the channel grow. So with regards to the SEC, I don't think anyone expected to see South Carolina and Florida at the top of the conference. That's going to be the clash in terms of our SEC championship today when we check that out. But total shocker there. South Carolina Gamecocks, did not see them being at the top of the table in terms of the SEC. And look at that. They had a big loss versus Oklahoma there, 42-28. That's a huge loss. It's shocking that they're actually in playoff contention and in the playoffs with a type of loss like that was put up. But Oklahoma, again, strong season, and they are in the playoffs currently as we speak, although that could change. And also look at that really ugly loss there versus Clemson. So that, again, out of conference, but that's going to be an interesting one for the Gamecocks to see what is going to happen. Right now, they're technically ranked first in the conference before we have the playoff. And then the other real surprise, number 13 seed, Florida Gators. The Gators 9-3 on the season, but they had a strong conference performance. Although, interestingly enough, out of conference loss, they lost to number 2 Miami, and that's a really strong Miami team. And in terms of other big victories and big losses there, you can see they just pummeled LSU 49-13. That was a huge win for the program. Also a big win there over Texas, 40-27. That was an impressive one as well. Only really, like I said, with the one loss on the season, but that was a shocker because they got stomped by Georgia 52-17. And as we'll see in a minute, Georgia did not have a strong season. Actually, Georgia had an absolutely disastrous season by Georgia standards. So you can see there in terms of the Gators, again, they had that one loss, but they get to play for the conference championship. Oklahoma had a really strong performance. They went 6-2 in conference, 10-2 overall, but they've had a strong season. Absolutely amazing quarterback play as well. That's ultimately what led them. And right now, they are looking like they will be in the college football playoff. But ultimately, we'll have to see how that all shakes down after conference championships games. And they're not in the conference championship, so we'll see what happens in terms of them. Alabama also had a really strong performance this year, 8-4, although they did go 5-3 in conference play. See, Ole Miss also had a really strong performance going at 9-3, but their shocker, Georgia, look at that. Georgia, 4 losses on the season. The big loss there versus Alabama. Again, that one, that's an acceptable loss. Alabama's a strong team, but no one really saw a 4-loss season for them coming. And again, that's a tough one. Look at that, though. The big loss there. Ole Miss losing 28-24. Ole Miss, that's a ranked team, but that's 2 losses in a row. Both losses, therefore, already at home. Absolute shocker. And if you keep looking down in the table, there's some interesting results. See that they absolutely pummeled Florida 52-17, which is a really interesting one. But you see that November 15th, Texas at home, that's a loss, 41-38. 3 losses at home, and then going to the very last game, out of conference, yes, but Georgia Tech lose to Georgia Tech. Georgia had 4 losses at home this season. I don't think anyone saw that in any way, shape, or form. So that's a real shocker there in terms of the season. And look at Tennessee, number 1 seed, a 7-5 season, 4-4 in conference play. Talk about a team that definitely underperformed. They lose to start the season versus Ohio State and basically just goes down from there. Had a big loss to Florida, a big loss at Oklahoma versus Oklahoma. Another big loss and a real shocker versus Mississippi State, losing 40-38 to Mississippi State. Again, that is not what a number 1 seed should be providing. So a huge kick in the pants there for the Texas Longhorns and the Longhorn fans in this simulation. And you can see at the end of the season there, another loss at home versus rivals Texas A&M. So that is a disaster season by Texas standards. A real shocker there. Everyone else pretty much in the conference, again, like LSU, you've got to be really unhappy with that. A 6-6 season, that's really terrible. Arkansas 6-6 overall on the season. And then you just look at the other ones there. Auburn, that's surprising to see Auburn there sitting at 7-5. Figured that they would be a little bit better. Nothing really shocking there at the bottom. Missouri State, Kentucky, and Vanderbilt bringing up the bottom. So that's how it shook down with the SEC. And if you can see there, the Heisman race, John Mateer, quarterback from Oklahoma. What a monster season. 2,800 yards passing, 33 TDs, only 2 interceptions. But look at that, 198 carries for 708 yards. Right now, he's the odds-on favorite for the Heisman. But again, if you look at the Heisman race there, they're all quarterbacks and well represented in terms of the SEC. Austin Simmons there from Ole Miss. They had a great season, 3,800 yards passing, 29 TDs, 343 yards rushing there, only 5 interceptions. So the sophomore had a great season, potential Heisman winner. But again, I think you got to give it to Mateer at this point. It's hard to say though. And then there is ultimately the third and very famously known Arch Manning, 3,100 yards on the season, 34 TDs, 389 yards rushing. So well represented there in terms of the Heisman race. In terms of offense, on offensive punch, look at that. Ole Miss, 5,725 yards of offense, leading the SEC. Tennessee close behind them there, Alabama, Florida in fourth. Florida definitely had a strong offensive punch in terms of this season, but look at that, 477 yards a game for Ole Miss. Points per game though, Oklahoma really behind John Mateer, the quarterback, 44.2 points per game. Georgia just a little bit behind them. You can see there, Florida, 36.6 points. Again, that's a great season for them. And in terms of the defense, Georgia, strong defensive performance. So clearly their offense really let them down this season, but only giving up 21 points a game, 252 points in total. And look at that in terms of the season itself. The number 1 defense, Oklahoma, just right behind them, Georgia. So Georgia had a strong campaign in terms of the defense, but man, their offense clearly let them down big time this year. Surprised to see the Florida defense as strong as it actually was, though, in third place in terms of amount of points given up for Florida. So it's going to be a really interesting one because Florida, South Carolina, both defenses are strong. So with that, we are going to get into the SEC championship. I don't think anyone predicted this one at the start of the season, but the South Carolina Gamecocks, number 1 seed in the SEC, taking on the Florida Gators. Again, I don't think anyone saw that as the championship game for the SEC. But this should be a good one. Both defenses really strong. Some really nice talent on both sides of the ball. And again, this I think is going to be a good one. I think it's going to be a close one. I mean, technically, South Carolina, they do have the advantage in terms of being the higher seed. I think Florida is probably the better team. With that, though, first quarter here underway. It's 2nd and 5 to the end zone. Beautiful strike for the touchdown. Hits the tight end across the middle there. That's how you want to start this game off. A beautiful strike there. And again, the tight end, beautiful reception on the play. Michael Smith, one of the key offensive players on this South Carolina attack. They do a lot of crossing patterns, a lot of short passes there. So can Florida respond? Oh, nice strike there. And oh no, it's intercepted at the 8. Wow. South Carolina defense definitely needed that one. That is how you make a real impact in the game. That was just a bad pass thrown into multiple coverage there, and ultimately the interception on the play, bringing it in, shutting down this Florida attack there on one of their early drives in the season. You can see there Sean Murphy, the Will linebacker, coming up with that one. Nice scrambling play. He kind of thought that the QB was going to run there, but he just lofts it over, and it's picked off. So with that, Florida back on the attack. A nice strike there down the middle, and the drive is going to end with a field goal attempt. It's up and it's good. Florida's on the board. That makes it 7-3 South Carolina here early in the second quarter. Again, a little bit later here in the second quarter, here goes the Gamecocks again. Nice strike there down to the 2. Can they punch it in here? Big drive. That's going to be 1st and goal. Got to think traditionally it's the handoff. Yeah, and there it goes. Oh, into the end zone for the touchdown. South Carolina delivers over the top. He took a pummel hit there, though. That was a big, big hit, but Florida could not hold him out, could not stop the offense on that series. With that, it's going to be, with the extra point, 14-3. Rollercoaster on the running back brings it in. So 1 minute left here in the second. Can Florida get in to the end zone? Can they make this one a little bit closer? 59 seconds left here. There it is. They are in scoring position at about the 12-yard line. It's going to be 2nd and 1. And how are they going to play this one here? So with that, go look to the end zone, and beautiful strike to the end zone. That's how it's done. Touchdown, and hitting the wideout. Again, that's a great play. Beautiful reception. Florida right back into this game, and that is one heck of a strike. Absolutely perfect pass there. Khalil Jackson bringing it in. So with that, it's going to be 14-10. South Carolina looking to get some points. Oh, that was a risky move. Throwing it into traffic, intercepted by Florida. Yikes. Traditional logic says you just kneel it down and end the half. You got the lead in the territory. They throw it out. 32 seconds left. There's the Gator chomp. And why wouldn't it be Florida? They are right in a position here, potentially, to take the lead in the second quarter here, like 30 seconds left. Oh my goodness, just a poorly executed pass. So with that, 4 seconds left, Florida with a field goal. It's up and it is good. Going into halftime, 14-13 South Carolina. This is a close game. Overall, offensively speaking, University of Florida doing a little bit better in terms of offense. Sellers has had a decent game, but that interception hurt. That was a costly one, and really he's going to need to do better than that in the second half if South Carolina wants to hold on to this game and get some results. And you can see there, not a lot of running right now. Faison has not had the ball a lot, only 7 carries, 25 yards. Yeah, I did have a touchdown. But there hasn't been a lot of offense and a lot of offensive punch from South Carolina right now. However, they do have a little bit better of a passing game there. Did have Michael Smith, the tight end, with the touchdown. He is one of the key players here. He's already had 3 receptions today. Really, in terms of Florida, though, ultimately, DJ Lagway, the quarterback there, he's played well, 12 of 1,906 yards, 1 TD, but he has had 2 interceptions, and it's shocking that with that this game is still actually so close. In terms of the running game situation, Jaden Baugh playing well, 6 carries, 60 yards. You got to think that he's going to be more involved in the offense in the second half. And again, the Florida offense, it is explosive. It is definitely explosive. Khalil Jackson, though, definitely key player right now. 3 receptions, 27 yards. I feel like he's still got a lot more going today. So with that, back into the third. And we have South Carolina in field goal range. And with that, it's going to be about a 48 field goal. It's up. It's good. And with that, they increase their lead. That is going to make it 17-13. Here we go again. Gamecocks have the ball late here in the third. Can they punch this one in to the end zone? Hits the tight end again. Sellers brings it in. That's his second touchdown of the game. Oh my goodness. That's going to make it 23-13 with the extra point to come. South Carolina could pull this game off. I didn't think at the start that they had it in them to win this game, but they could definitely pull it off. Does Florida have what it takes for the comeback? They go for it on 4th and 1, and look at a 42-yard rush for the touchdown. Extra points, not good. But with that, it's here in the 4th. Oh, and Jackson brings it in. Look at that. It is going to be 1st and goal, 6 minutes left. The comeback here potentially is on. Can the Gators punch this one in? Can they take the lead? 6 minutes here left in the 4th quarter. This is still anyone's game. Jackson having a good game today, and that was just a beautiful route that he ran there. Ultimately, look at that. Perfect pass. Brings it in. 1st and goal for the Florida Gators. Again, are they going to punch it in here? So it's now 3rd and goal. And to the end zone. Touchdown, Gators. You know who it is, Khalil Jackson with the touchdown. First time today, 5 minutes left in the 4th. For the first time today, Florida Gators take the lead. That makes it 25-24 with potentially the next point to come, although you got to think they're probably going to go for 2 here. That was just a beautiful route. Not well defended at all by South Carolina, which is tough because they played a good game. So here we go, Florida going for the 2-point conversion, and can they put it in? And with that, drop back to the didn't go to the end zone. That was a strange decision to make. Basically, like a mini screen there. That did not work. Not well executed. So here we go. 2:31 left. It's 25-20 Florida. And we've got South Carolina. They are on the move here on 4th down, but they hand it off. Stuffed. Wow, that was a risky play. Not a good play call in my opinion here. So 2:26 left. Oh, what a strike. That is a game changer. Tony Livingston brings it down. That is going to make it 1st and goal. But on 3rd and 3, they cannot get it in there. That is a tough one. So with that, Florida, they're going for it. Figured that they were going to go for the field goal, but no, they're going for it on 4th and 1. Can they deliver? No, they cannot. Run back stuffed in the backfield. That keeps it 25-24. South Carolina with the ball. Here we are on 4th and 6. And, the receiver, Sellers, runs out of bounds. He runs out of bounds on 4th down. And with that, the Florida Gators. That's right. That's what I said. The Florida Gators win the SEC for 2025. Wow. I don't think anyone saw that one coming. Don't think anyone saw that coming. They pulled it out. They were down big in this game, and they came back and pull it out 25-24 to win the SEC. Congratulations, Florida. That is going to really shake the tree in terms of the college football playoff, because at this point in time, Florida was not in the college football playoff. South Carolina is. That's really going to shake things up. And again, overall, that was a close game. Offensively speaking, Florida did have the advantage, but that was a strong defensive performance by both teams. And really, that was a close game. 12 points there, though, in the 4th quarter. UF completes the comeback, and they get the victory in the SEC championship. And it was a bit of a messy game, multiple interceptions. But again, Sellers, he played a good game, 22 for 28, had the 2 TDs, but they just did not have a lot of offensive punch. Really, where they struggled for the most part, because again, Sellers played a strong game, but where they struggled was ultimately the run game. Faison just did not, like he had 20 carries for 91 yards, but he just didn't have enough of a dominating performance there. They just didn't have enough of the ball. And at that key moment, that key interception, that was brutal there. In terms of the pass game, Brown had 6 receptions. Really, Smith, though, was huge. Look at that, the 2 TDs there for the big tight ends. And again, he played really well in terms of that game. Not huge yards, but 6 receptions, 2 TDs. He really was a game changer. So the sophomore, he showed up. Unfortunately for South Carolina and the South Carolina fans, they just did not have the offensive punch today that they needed. They had every chance to win this game. They really and truly did. They just could not deliver when it counted. In terms of defense, Stewart there had a strong game. We didn't see him in the highlights, but he had a strong game. And then the 2 interceptions was massive. Now, DJ Lagway, again, the sophomore quarterback for Florida, again, he played a strong game. The difference there, Jaden Bow, though, had a strong rushing game as well. 14 carries, 105 yards. And Florida really did control a lot of the tempo in terms of this game. If there wasn't the 2 interceptions by Lagway, I think Florida would have probably won by a lot more. Khalil Jackson, though, really, he was a monster out there. 7 receptions, 48 yards. But the 2 TDs were absolutely crucial for Florida winning this one. And so with that, they take the SEC. Just shocking. Now, in terms of the defensive side, yeah, like that huge play. Banks had the sack, yeah, but really the most crucial piece there, Grayson Howard with that interception, that was such a game changer. So with that, Florida takes the SEC in the 2025 conference championship. And again, that's going to cause real havoc in terms of the playoffs, because that was not expected. It was really not expected. So we had ultimately South Carolina holding down that spot. Number 13, Florida. That's going to cause a lot of ripples, and potentially we'll have to see how all the other conference championships games shake down. But right now you can see there that spot there that was that holder for Florida there, that has now been sort of wiped out. So we don't really know what's going to happen there. We don't necessarily know what's going to happen, who's going to slide in there, what it's all going to look like at the end, but it's definitely going to shake things up a lot. And so we're going to go through each of the conference championships, and then we'll see what the playoffs look like before we play them off. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this. Please consider liking and subscribing. Thanks. Have a good day. Bye-bye.